So somebody asked me to make a video about short guys. And the only thing I can think of to complain about when it comes to short men is the fact that a lot of you, for whatever reason, feel the need to be loud and get a lot of attention for yourselves. Even though no one really asked, no one asked you, nobody asked you to do any of it, to, get attention from anyone or anything like that. And I apologize if this slides forward or anything. But what I really want to talk about, because I made a TikTok video and I used a certain audio. So let's chilly in here. What did I do? Hold on. Okay. I just wanted to make sure it was set right. I need to prop this up before I really start talking. Because we all know I never shut up, so... And I want this light on me, but I don't want it to be quite that bright. I don't want to completely, fucking blind myself here. There we go. I need to get a ring light and an actual fucking setup. Let's be fucking realistic here. But I had an older brother. And in the video, it's this sound that says... you're in pain, I can tell by what you're saying, and then it cuts to, I'm sorry, I forgot you were fragile. I forgot someone that doesn't even know me told you I'm an asshole. And I use the example of the fact that I have confronted my brother as an adult, and he still swears up and down that when we were kids, he wasn't mean or abusive, did not do anything to me. Now, I know there are people out there that had it way worse, that had way worse experiences. I'm not trying to even compare mine to yours, but my brother, when we were kids, like little kids, I remember once when I was 5, and he would have been 7, and my mom was cooking in the kitchen. I think my dad was at work, and he just came in and punched me in the fucking nose as hard as he could, and I just remember there being blood everywhere, me screaming, running to my mom. I don't remember him saying that I was being mean. I don't remember him saying I did this or did that first. He just fucking hit me in the face. I had times where he threw fucking rocks at me. I had times where he tried to choke me out over a chicken patty. He would look around, make sure my mother wasn't looking, and then try to strangle me. He would look around, make sure my parents weren't around, and then try to hold my head underwater, and not just dunk me, but hold my head underwater, and did not stop until my mother started walking towards the pool. He would always, there was a point in time where we were sitting in the back of the car, going somewhere or home from somewhere, and I was looking out the window. And I just feel him hit me as hard as he fucking could in the leg. There was a point in time where I was like 5, and he stung me in the face with a dead bee, and he claims he did it to see if they would still sting when they were dead, but part of me thinks that he did it on purpose. And it only stopped, seemingly, after I was either 18 or 19 and he was in his 20s. Way too old to be doing what I'm about to describe to you. He was doing shadow boxing. Now, I've told a few people that are friends with me this story. And he was, if you don't know what shadow boxing is, if that's even the real name for what he was doing, people get about this close to you and they just swing. Now, that day he caught me in the nose. And I flew into him. And what makes it worse is I don't remember it happening through my eyes. When I remember hitting him, it's like I'm watching it from the corner of the fucking room. And I know it happened because I remember my mom breaking it up. I remember, snapping back into my body as she broke it up. But I grabbed his shirt with this hand, and I was just with this hand. And the only thing that he could do was put his head down, so I was hitting him here instead of here. I am not a violent person. I joke around about, I'll kick this person's ass. I will say someone's irritating me and I want to punch them in the face. But that's the only time that I have ever, I guess, blacked out, or whatever you want to call it. That's the only time I've ever gotten so fucking mad instantaneously that I just flew into someone. And now, when he gets mad at me, he just says, I wish you were boy so I could punch you in the face. And all I can think is, it never stopped you before. It never stopped you when I was however old and you felt the need to beat up on somebody because you were having a bad day and I said the wrong thing to you. Aside from the fact that he was physically abusive, he was verbally abusive, but everybody's siblings are verbally abusive. There were quite a few occasions where he would hit me and I would do something back and I got corrected for it and he never got corrected for starting it. There's actually a point in time where, from all the ignorant shit he did to me, I don't know exactly how old we were. I want to say that I was 9 and he was 11, but I really don't know. We were in my grandparents' house. There was a room that was like the front room. It was in front of the front door, and it had a cement floor. It just never had carpet or anything put over it, so it was just a cement floor. But it was also kind of like where they like had a little stack of wood to put in the wood burner and things like that. So it kind of made more sense than having like carpet because of the wood dust that would get on it, you know. And that's where everybody put their boots if their boots were muddy. So it was kind of like, you know, it made sense to have a cement floor there. So one day he went to sit down to play the Super Nintendo and I pulled the chair out from under him. Now, I'll admit at the time I didn't think about the actual consequences of what I did because I was a fucking kid. But after he started crying and somebody jumped on me and told me I could have broken his tailbone, I actually legitimately felt bad. Do I for a second think my brother ever felt bad for hitting me or anything he ever did to me? Not really. Because if you feel bad about it, you don't keep doing it. If you feel bad about it, when somebody confronts you later on, you apologize. You don't sit there and double down and say, well, you deserved it because of this, and you deserved it because of that. Again, I'm not using his name. People who know him know him. I get along with him better now, but there's still times where I hear things that come out of his mouth, or he'll say something to me in a moment of anger, and I just decide that I'm done talking to him for the night. Because, I don't know, like, we'll be getting along, and I'll say, hey, can you turn your phone down? And he'll say, why don't you shut the... Like, he'll fucking get so mad. He will get so mad. So freaking easily at sometimes nothing. I remember one time, I think I was in my early 20s, he was in his mid-20s, and he invited me to go along with him somewhere. Now, it was kind of getting to be fall, so it was a little cold, and he had the windows down. And I said, can you roll the window up? Now, he could have rolled my window up and left his down. It would have been fine. And he said, do you want to get out and fucking walk? We were getting along fine 2 seconds prior to this. I hadn't said anything rude to him that day. I hadn't been mean. I hadn't been a bitch. But that little, can you put the window up? It's cold. Do you want to get the fuck out and walk? And we were not close to home. If he would have actually kicked me out of the car, it would have took me hours to get home. On foot. And he was not kidding. This was not, oh, do you want to get out and walk? It was a serious tone. And I'm not just saying this to like badmouth my brother. It's just something that popped into my head. And I was like, you know what? I've never talked about it, so I'm going to talk about it. Maybe there's someone out there that can relate. I don't know. I don't have a lot of followers, but you know what? And again, I know there's people out there that had way worse siblings. But, you know, I've never talked about it. Maybe somebody wonders what my childhood was like. My childhood was decent. I'll admit it, we were not rich by any fucking means, but my parents did so much for us that they, at certain points, they were definitely living beyond their means simply because of something that me or my brother had asked for. My brother wanting Wi-Fi and video game systems, me wanting a laptop that I didn't need. I respect the hell out of my parents for working as hard as they did, as hard as they still do, to support things in their lives. And I love both my parents, and I love my brother, even though me and him fought a lot, and we still don't always see eye to eye. It may just be because we're different personality types, but me and him get along better now, but still, it seems like sometimes he just gets mad at me so easily, so I don't like being around him that much. And I don't know if that's just the fact that we fought when we were kids, and it still sticks in my head when I'm around him, so I don't want to be around him and get in a fight with him. I don't know what it is. But things are a lot better than when we were kids, but at the same time, and I don't know, I had never talked about it. I actually hated being around him. I hated being in the same room as him. I hated for a long time. And there were also times where he would get his friends to gang up on me. When I was in elementary school, him and his friends ganged up on me and called me Four Eyes. And they all wear glasses now. There were times when, and I still don't know what this was about, but at the time, my anxiety kicked in and I had, a severe anxiety attack about it. We had went to one of his friends' houses, and I had just been hanging out with everybody all day. So I was like, okay, they're going in, I'm just going to go in. Nobody else knocked or announced themselves. But they all turn around and start saying, did you knock? Did you knock? Did you knock? So I was like, okay, they obviously don't fucking want me here, so I left. And my anxiety kicked in. And it's such a stupid thing when I look back on it for me to get upset about and have an anxiety attack about. But I was probably, I don't know exactly how old I was, but I definitely felt like, oh, they're just fucking with me because they don't want me around, so. And it just made me not want to go be around anybody anymore. You know what I mean? And it still gives me anxiety thinking about it because I shouldn't still think about it in oh my god, it still feels like I'm still there. But sometimes it does. My anxiety isn't as bad as it used to be. But back then, I was like, I must have done something wrong, so I'm going to leave because they don't want me here. But yeah. That was my sibling story. And I used to see other people get along with their siblings. And I used to think, why can't I get along with mine? It was always a fight. It was always, he was right, and I was an idiot, and I was wrong. And he was going to treat me like shit for it. One day, and this is how I know that I throw very accurately when I'm angry. I was 13 and he was 15. I'm pretty sure that's the ages we were. He was in the yard working on a riding mower with his friend. And he thought he was going to call me a name. Now, my dad he worked on small engines, like riding mowers and tractors and stuff. So there was always, tools or little tires or sometimes lawnmower blades, little pieces of, tractors laying around when he took something apart. And whatever he called me that day, it had to be something bad. So it was probably slut, skank, something like that, because I took real offense to those words back then. So I picked up a rusty lawnmower blade and threw it at him. And if he had not ducked out of the way with his leg, he'd be missing his calf muscle right now. So yeah. The reason I tell that part of the story is because I don't want him to look like the only one that ever snapped or had an anger issue or had a problem. There was also one time where my mom had given us each, you're going to play for an hour and then you're going to play for an hour. I had been in there for 45 minutes and he's standing in the doorway because we had a game, but we only had one controller and it was a single player game and, whatever. My mom says, we each get an hour. At 45 minutes, he's standing in the doorway saying, it's my turn. It's my fucking turn. So I proceed to grab the PlayStation controller and slam it off the ground as hard as I can and break it into hundreds of little pieces. Because if I don't get an entire turn, you're either not going to get your next turn, or you're going to have to put this together, and that's going to use up the rest of my turn, so you're going to wait the entire hour. He got it back together and played, but thanks to me, he had to actually wait the whole hour, so... Anyways, enough about my depressing childhood. If you want me to talk about a certain topic in a video, I am going to put a link to a Discord either in the description or in the comments of this video. That's all I'm going to say. And I know most people say this stuff at the beginning of the videos, but then nobody would watch the video. You know?